Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, wherever you may be. I'm your host, Jamari Bradshaw, and I will be discussing with you some interesting information and personal insight about the importance of organic foods. Thank you for listening, and I hope you find something good out of hearing this podcast. Some of you might be wondering, what exactly do you mean by organic? What foods are really considered organic? Or maybe you think that term is overused or overrated. Well, based on its definition from Merriam-Webster, it simply means relating to, yielding, or involving the use of food produced with the use of feed or fertilizer of plant or animal origin without employment of chemically formulated fertilizers, growth stimulants, antibiotics, or pesticides. Basically, something made without conventional use, products without much processed ingredients, things like seed oils, additives, preservatives, and artificial dyes, things that we consume almost every day in regular grocery store products. Little do we know that those are the silent killers that sneak up on our health later down the line. An average college student might not pay much mind to the particular things they eat on a regular basis, nor might they realize how the overconsumption of those foods creep up on them later, once they're older. Let's take a college athlete, for example. In order for them to stay active and healthy, they don't just exercise and train in their talented sport, but they also focus on their diet. They focus on the foods with proper nutritional value in them. Now, if they were to do the opposite, weight gain wouldn't be the only thing they would have to worry about. But now they've created more problems in other components of their health and diet due to the lack of proper vitamins and minerals, and also damaging ingredients in their system from the conventional produce. Another concerning aspect of organic foods can be the cost. Most foods in this region tend to be not as affordable for college students, especially those that dorm without a meal plan or live in an apartment off campus. As a college student myself, I can very much relate to this issue. Most foods you see in stores or online aren't usually at the best price you can get them at. So, we resort to finding a cheaper option. And whatever that option is, may not necessarily be the best, but it's the least we can do. Factors like this can put college students in the habit of not going for organic produce as much. Why bother try if we can't even afford it? I recently interviewed a student and got her insights on organic foods along with other problematic factors and her knowledge and perspective on the matter. Alright, so today I'm here with
Ebony Williams.
And what year are you?
I am a sophomore going into junior year.
Alright. Hi, Ebony. So, we're just going to go straight into the questions. So,
Alrighty.
Starting with number one, what factors influence your decision to buy or not buy organic food as a college student?
I would say depending on how much time I have to cook said organic foods, because I was raised in a household where sometimes we didn't have organic foods, we had canned foods, so it was easier to just open up a frozen bag of peas or canned goods. So I would say the factor of having time to sit and actually cook the organic ingredients would be the main factor of it.
Do you believe organic food is healthier or better than conventionally grown food?
Yeah, but I feel at the same time, when people slap the label of organic, it's kind of I don't believe it sometimes, because everything just has some type of GMO in it, especially with organic foods. I feel when you're saying that it's organic, you're saying there's no GMOs, but I still see giant grapes that look inhuman from regular, when I actually go to actual vineyards, or I've seen actual vineyards, the grapes are small. They're not huge like that. So I honestly kind of don't believe it. It's a win-lose situation in a type of sense, because it's what you have to eat, because not everyone has the ability to grow a garden and sit and have time to wait for a garden. So it's you kind of just have to roll with what you got.
So basically some of the labels are deceiving in a way.
Yeah, it's I don't believe it at all, unless I'm actually seeing the person get it from a farm, because there are some places, especially around me, where they actually do get it from local farms. and
Okay.
it has the label of local farms. I'm like, okay, so then it is organic.
Right. Like you really got to pay attention to what it actually says on the product or where it's coming from to really know if it's legit or not.
Yeah, I always try to look at the also like the state and like where it comes from, because you could also tell by how far it's from if it's really organic or not. Because
Right.
come on, something from Illinois coming all the way to New York, it's not organic. Like you have to spray something on it to keep it that good for so long.
And how important is the absence of pesticides and chemicals in your food choices?
From what I've read and watched all through my life, I feel like it's a big importance, just because I've seen how it can affect children. With the pesticides, I see how it affects us today, because when I think about the amount of, autism and all of that that's coming into the world, it kind of makes me think like, is it because of the amount of chemicals that we use in our foods and products is the why that we have such like a spectrum of, problems, and not just mental problems, it's also health problems, like people that are dying at the age of like 20 to 30s from heart failure and things like that. And some of them eat normal regular meals, like healthy meals. So it like really boils down to how much chemicals we're really putting in our food. And it just makes me think it's like it's a big thing when we use pesticides. Like it may not seem like it, but it really can affect us in the long run when it comes to cancers and things. Like cancer has been an on-time high for God knows how long. And it's like, why is it not getting any better? And it could only be from what we eat. Everything I feel like we touch has some type of chemical that just makes us sick from long-term use.
And I know usually with organic food, the main concern of it is also the price of things. So like how affordable is it? So does the price of organic food affect your willingness to purchase it for you personally?
Absolutely. As a college student, being an independent college student, it's a big thing, because you want to be able to eat healthy, you want to be able to eat right, but it's like I can't pay $35 worth of food all the time every week to cook. I don't have people don't have steady jobs like that when you're in college, like you're on and off. So it is very hard to get organic foods when the normal price foods are like the less healthier foods, I guess, are just the cheaper options.
Yeah, and with inflation and everything, with increasing the typical.
Oh, absolutely. It's disgusting. It's like at this point, we should just make our own garden here and grow our own vegetables.
Right, that's what it's looking like, honestly, with the way our economy and everything is going on. It's crazy out here. But how knowledgeable do you feel about the benefits of organic foods? So what you usually see on what's the actual proper produce that you're seeing being grown from farms, how exactly do you think, or how much do you feel like you know about that overall?
I feel like as someone who grew up with a garden in her backyard because of my great-grandmother, I feel like I do have a little bit more of a sense of how much better it is to have homegrown food, especially when it comes to produce like tomatoes and broccoli, corn. We've had okra, all that. When you buy it from a store, it's so quickly, it gets just nasty and just moldy so quickly. When I say the same thing happens to fresh foods too when you grow them, but I feel also when you prep them in a right way, you can keep them for longer. So cutting tomatoes and putting them in a dish, it lasts longer than ones that you would get at the store, I feel like. Because some people like to say, oh, when you get fresh produce, it doesn't last long. And in some terms, yes, it is. They are right about that. But from my experience, especially if you're going to be eating the foods very, in a weekly manner, then it shouldn't matter how fast the food goes. You should be eating it. It should be a meal prep thing.
So, how often, as a college student, how often do you choose organic options when or if they're available on campus or in stores when you go shop?
I would say at least twice a month, depending, because we do have a mobile food pantry. So if like the vegetables are there are good, what I'll do is I'll take the fresh ones and like cut them up and put them in the freezer so they last longer, and then like within the days like I'll just come by and take it out, defrost it and cook it. So I feel like that's also, if you want a smarter way to keep vegetables fresh, is also like maybe cooking it and then putting it in the freezer to have like for later, so you're not always like having to buy a lot of vegetables and fresh fruits all the time, worrying about them getting disgusting and nasty so quickly.
Ebony shared some great insight on her end about all things organic. Now, the wonder lies on what someone from a faculty perspective could possibly share. I interviewed a professor who is also a registered dietitian nutritionist and a professional chef on the same matter. Alright, so could I just get your name and profession?
My name is Gavin Pritchard, and I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist. I'm also a professional chef.
Great, that's perfect. So, I'm just gonna get straight to the questions. So, the first one is, how do you define the importance of organic food in today's food system?
Yeah, great question. I think they can have high importance. One of the things we know about organic foods is that they have been shown to limit consumers' exposure to pesticides and certain chemicals, which we're not fully clear on all the impact in terms of health challenges, but we certainly can say that they limit consumers' exposure to certain pesticides and other chemicals.
In your opinion, just getting your opinion on this. So, what do you think are the most significant health benefits, if there are any, when it comes to consuming organic food?
Great question. And again, I think certainly limiting exposure to unnecessary chemicals, particularly pesticides, has been shown to be what tends to be the greatest benefit from choosing organic foods. I think it's still not clear 100% the relation to certain health challenges that maybe come from those increased. We know that, for example, that people who do choose the largest amounts of organic foods tend to maybe have lower risks for certain cancer occurrence, like non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. There's some support for limiting or or choosing organic foods during pregnancy. Maybe there's some pregnancy complications, or challenges that can arise from non-organic foods. But again, I think we always try to encourage, from a food perspective, more plant foods, more fruits, veggies, whole grains, and if we can limit our exposure to pesticides and et cetera that come in through those foods, probably a wise choice long term.
I know with organic foods and how important they are and how beneficial it is, and it should be encouraged amongst everybody to at least consume those like more often, or at least try to imply that into their diet. We also know that the cost, like the affordability of it, can also be an issue amongst most people, especially with college students. Do you think the higher cost of organic food is justified?
That's a great question. From whose perspective, right? I think certainly food prices have risen pretty considerably in the last year, 2, 3. And somebody who might be budget conscious or have a limited food budget may not be able to participate the way some others are able to in organic foods. But that doesn't have to be a barrier necessarily, right? I think there's ways to participate, just like with regular food, and maybe being budget friendly. Things like trying to buy organic food in bulk. If I choose a grain, for example, I might have a lower unit price by buying a larger quantity at one time. Frozen organic, right, which can actually be very nutrient dense because it's picked when it's at its peak of ripeness, right? Peak flavor, peak nutrient content typically as well, can be a little bit less expensive. Buying local organic in season, from local farmers that use organic methods, that can be a way to keep costs down. Um, are food prices justified now, even if they're conventional? I don't know how to maybe answer it from that perspective, but I would say, anybody who wants to maybe participate in organic, there's always a way. And again, I think it doesn't have to be all in or all out. It can be pick your battles. Maybe there's foods that somebody eats 5 apples a day, that to maybe if they're considering organic, maybe that's a place because they're including one food regularly, right? You could maybe buy an organic apple bag, might be a little bit more expensive, but it could still be within your budget, but also maybe limit your exposure to unnecessary pesticides, etc.